All right. Real quick, let me post the link. Um, yeah. First, I gotta find it. Yeah, I don't have my Twitter connected to this account, so it's a bit weird. All right. Copy. Go to Twitter. Streaming now, people. There we go. Sure, millions of people will be watching now. Yeah. So, yeah, okay. Hold on, let me resize this shit. Yeah, it has been a while, so, yeah. I don't know why it's not doing that. Alright, now. So, welcome back. This is the, Genesis Streams number 5. So yeah, at this time I've been up for about 27 hours because I, for like a week, have been sleeping from like 8 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon. And yeah, I stayed up all night last night so that I could fall asleep at a more reasonable time, so I can hang out with my friend IRL during the day. So that's pretty cool, I guess. So yeah. First off, I want to announce that I'm going to be adding a couple new segments to the show. So as you know, the first segment is me telling you what I got rid of in my collection. Then I show you guys what I've got, and then I show you guys what I've read, and then what I've watched. I'm thinking, after that, since this is going to be going on more often, like probably monthly, there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff to talk about for those original 4, and I have other interests and other stuff, so figure I'd implement some of that in here, just a little bit. It's not going to be too much time on these other 2, but I'm going to have like a monthly music recommendation, just something I've been listening to that I would like to share with the people, and it'll just be a couple minutes just talking about that. And then I'm also, after that, gonna have like some list, like a top 5 or top 10 of some sort. The one for this one is 5 manga that disappointed me. So that's gonna be at the very end, and then I'll end the stream. But yeah, because since it's gonna be monthly, there's gonna be a lot less to talk about the original stuff, so it's just better this way. Uh, so yeah, I guess we can start now. Stuff I got rid of. It's only a little bit. I got rid of Ayori Yaoshi volumes 1 through 3, Chobits volumes 1 through 3, and Assassination Classroom volume 1. And I read all of those, and I liked them, but my mom also liked them, and I didn't really love them, so I figured I'd just give them to her because I don't really need them since I don't really plan on rereading them often. I only really plan on keeping the ones that I really love, like Buddha, Immortal, and I also got rid of the Hellsing Annie manga. For some reason, I hadn't gotten rid of that, but I had gotten rid of the whole series that I had. So got rid of that because I like with the actual manga, I just thought Hellsing was really boring. And finally, I got rid of the like I forget the exact name, but it's like this unofficial Full Metal Alchemist guidebook. Just because I don't really need it. I love Full Metal Alchemist, but I just don't need it. It's not really useful information to me. So yeah, sorry to drop the hammer on that. I don't know if that's the correct saying or whatever, but yeah. All right, now I'll show you guys what I have received, what I've gotten this past like couple months. Yeah, Halloween was not really the ideal time to have a live stream. Speaking of which, it was a pretty good Halloween. You know, I carved a pumpkin. I dressed up as Shaggy from Scooby Doo, and I watched a Disney's Halloween, which is one of my favorite Disney things ever. One of my favorite animated things ever. It's a really good feature length cartoon. And I ate some candy, vegan candy. I don't know if you guys knew it, but I went vegan in like July. So yeah, go vegan if you want. Well, I mean, I think you should, but at this point in time, it's not a requirement. But yeah, anyway, oh shit. Whoops. All right, first thing, Right Stuff catalog. I don't know. Just figured I'd show it. Yeah, those things I keep for the coupon. There's a couple coupon codes. And then, you know, after I use them or if they expire, I just throw it out. So, yeah, worth showing, I guess. Oh, yeah, this, I don't know, I just found this. It's a Super Mario bookmark. Just figured I'd show it, show that I'm down with the Marios. Yeah. Next, I got this Michael Crichton book called The Case of Need. I think it's his first one. Looks pretty good. It's the guy who made Jurassic Park, if you didn't know. Yeah. Oh, shit. All right, next I got another book called The Colorado Kid by Stephen King. It's one of his shorter ones. Haven't read it yet. Haven't read any of this yet, to be honest. Yeah. Next, I got this DVD for like $1. Well, it's a DVD set for $1. It's a documentary series called Planet Earth. I like nature documentaries, you know. I like animals. Animals are pretty cool. But I always have liked animals. Yeah, looks interesting. Figured I'd get it if it was only $1. Next, yeah, the place my mom works at, they gave her these 3 video games and she gave them to me. And these aren't games I would buy like on my own time, but since they were given to me, I figured I'd keep them and at least try them out since I don't know, why not? It's 3 Wii games, Rio, Ratatouille, and Up. And yeah, Ratatouille, the movie, is one of my favorite animated films, and it's my favorite Pixar. I also liked both of the other two, Rio and Up, but not as much as Ratatouille. Yeah, Ratatouille's really good. This one, it's a manga. I may have shown this in a past stream, but I forgot if I have because it wasn't in my room for a while. Yeah, so I may have forgotten about it, but I also may have actually not forgotten about it. So yeah, it is Hikaru no Go Volume 2. Haven't read it yet, but I will soon. be honest though, I haven't been reading a whole lot because I don't know, I've just been more interested in movies. Oh shit, I forgot to let you guys know I'm also going to be talking about movies because I like movies too. And I know most of the viewers here only care about manga, but give movies a try too, man. Yeah, thing is, I've never really been like only manga. Like it's like just another medium to me, So like I can't understand like disregarding manga as a whole or only liking manga because like there's so many great stories that are not in both like mediums, so you're missing out on a lot if you only like one or the other. But yeah, do what you do. This one was pretty cool. It's 3 light novels from a particularly treasured series to me. That is the second, third, and fourth Haruhi Suzumiya novels or light novels. It's the Sigh of Haruhi Suzumiya, The Boredom of Haruhi Suzumiya, and The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. Yeah, these used to be from a library, but the one I go to actually. But I stopped giving a shit about the stickers a while ago. Like, it used to be a big deal back when I was into like having an actual collection, but now I've outgrown that. I don't really want to own shit that I don't like. Yeah, like back in the day, I used to just buy random shit. Didn't really look at what it was about. Just kind of just splurge money left and right. Whenever I got like I never had a job, so whenever I would somehow get money, I would splurge it on some shit that I didn't even like. Or some of it I ended up liking, but not a tactic I would use. I'd actually just read it first, then buy it. If you really like it, that's how I go about things now. It's the smart way to go. Thriftiness is a good virtue, I guess. Final thing, got this comic book collection, I guess, cartoon or comic strip. It's called Dogs, 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 a collection of great dog cartoons. So it's a collection of dog cartoons, so that's fun. Now, I would not have bought this if I had not gotten it for free. You know how I got it for free? Whoops, they all just fell. But yeah, I've gotten into something called trash picking, though I prefer to just call it treasure hunting because trash picking sounds stupid. The picking part, it just doesn't sound right. But whatever. I gotten into treasure hunting, which is basically on trash night. You go around and you look at like if there's a big pile of stuff, you just look at like for some cool stuff in the pile and just take it because if it's at the curb, it's public property. You're not gonna get shot unless you live in like butt fuck nowhere where there's just a bunch of random hillbillies and they love their guns a little bit too much. And hey, whatever floats your boat, by the way. But yeah, it was one of the first times I went back in like mid-October. It was I'm telling the story just because I think it's a good thing to get into. It's gotten me to get out more, and it's just fun, finding free shit. And so basically, I was driving around after the trash had gotten picked up. It was like the afternoon, and it was one of my first times, so I was just desperate to find any progress at all. And the first one I come across has this buttload of fucking books in it. It's just this trash can that's open, filled up to the brim with books. There's some metal. I should explain. It's a good way to earn money too. Um, you can just get all the metal that you see, drive it to a scrapyard, and exchange it for money. So if you don't want to work, you can do that. It doesn't pay a whole lot. You need to like, you're not gonna get like big buckets of money. If you have a big van though, you can do that instead of a part-time job though. Trash night isn't every night, so you wouldn't be working every day. You could also resell stuff online or wherever. So yeah, if you want to earn money, maybe consider trash picking or dumpster diving. That's another thing, but I haven't done that yet. But yeah, uh, it was mainly cookbooks in the thing, but there are a couple others. I grabbed those for other people, but that one I kept for myself just because why not? I like dogs. I like comics. Figured I may as well read it since I got it for free. And if I don't like it, then I can just exchange it at a secondhand bookstore so that I can get something else. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, I pretty much do that every trash night, twice a week. It's pretty fun. Gets you out and about. It's best to do it at night because that's when everyone puts their shit out and less people out, so it's less awkward for you. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I got. I mean, um, yeah, it wasn't a huge month or couple months for getting stuff, but I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Um, yeah, I was explaining earlier that I hadn't read a whole lot the past week. Well, I haven't read a whole lot in the past couple months too. Yeah, just I've been into movies a lot. But I did read some manga. I read the first 6 volumes of Hunter x Hunter by Yoshihiro Togashi. Yeah, I'd never read it or watched it before. Hold on. Yeah. It was actually pretty good. The reason I didn't, I've been reading all of this stuff from my library. By the way, it's the way to go if you want to not have to pay for everything. And read physically. It's fine. It's enjoyable in small doses for me. It's not something I would marathon through. That's why I only read the first 6. Like my library has all of it, but I just didn't want to force myself to read through a whole bunch. Like I had like 12 of them out, but I only read 6. I just got swamped with other stuff, and it's not how I want to enjoy artwork, works of art and stuff like that. It's better not to force yourself to read or watch anything because you're not like gaining anything from it. So and it's not fun. So yeah, I put the bag over the head of that. So yeah, but Hunter x Hunter, it's pretty good. And the artwork I don't think is as terrible as people say it is. It's just that it's not very detailed. He's lazy. He probably should have some background artists, some backups, people to add in some background so it's not just like some simple drawing of a face on top of a blank background. It's like he has the potential. He's not a bad artist. It's just he's lazy, and that's evident because he's always taking hiatuses. I guess it's a long series as it is, so I don't really mind that much. Mainly just because I haven't caught up at all. So take your time, Togashi. I'm in no rush. Next, I read this one called Not Simple. It's a one-shot by Natsume Ono. This was one that my boy MRK Mr. Ragekeepers had done a review of about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, he's a good YouTuber. If you haven't heard of him, his channel is now named MRK and Nate Sama. So yeah, check him out. He doesn't upload a whole lot anymore, but he's a pretty cool dude. Pretty cool. He's good at the bass guitar. But yeah, he reviewed Not Simple. He really liked it, and basically it's kind of like Forrest Gump. It's basically about, someone's life. It wasn't a very memorable story for me, in contrast to Mr. Ragekeepers, because like, I didn't care about the characters. It basically throws you into this story with some guy praising the focus character, like, oh, your life's so interesting, it needs to be made into a story, and that's how the manga comes into being. It's one of those where it's like the story that you're reading is what the guy writes. Well, more or less. But where was I? Oh yeah, the artwork is interesting. It's not like a lot of other manga. It's kind of like simpler. It kind of reminds me of South Park in a way, but it's not like South Park. It's just it's more like Shin-chan, Crayon Shin-chan, but still different than that. But it's kind of like that. So yeah, I like the artwork. I could see why some people wouldn't like it, but I thought it was fine. But really, just the connection with the characters, I didn't care about them. I can compare it to hold on. It's natural. Anyway, I compare it to Only Yesterday, a Studio Ghibli film where I didn't give a fuck about any of the characters, and a film called Barry Lyndon, where I also did not give a fuck about any of the characters. Now, I think that since the movie Barry Lyndon is very well received, it's considered one of the greatest films ever. I think that there is an appeal about not knowing anything about the characters, not having any real reason to care about them, yet you follow their adventure. There's obviously people who like that, and I just am not a big fan of that sort of thing. I guess I could see the appeal, but no, I need to care about the characters. I don't want just some random ass people who don't have much of an emotion or have much of a personality. It just isn't interesting. But yeah, it's basically some guy's life. He's kind of like just kind of around when certain situations happen. It all starts with his birth, basically, the circumstances surrounding that, and it ends with his death. That's not a spoiler, it's right at the beginning. Yeah. Give it a try. I mean, it's only one volume. It's like 300 pages. It's not a very long read. I read it in one sitting. Even though I was not totally invested in it, I figured, I'd give it. It wasn't terrible. It was tolerable. It was enjoyable for what it was for me. Now, I don't agree with Mr. Ragekeepers on how good it was. He just watch his review. I recommend you watch it. It's not a bad review, but I don't know. I just felt differently. But I'm glad I checked it out. It was cool. Next is a comic called The Rocketeer. This is one that it was a reread. I first read it back in 6th grade, so like 2011. Disney made a live action film out of it in like the 80s, which is also when the comic came out. Basically set in World War II or around that time. an aviator pilot. He comes across this government, uh, a classified government device it's a jetpack basically, and he uses it to first basically help out. You know, there's a plane I think going haywire. He helps with that. He's also like kind of clashing with the government though. He's running from them somewhat because it's their property and he has it now. Yeah. Um so yeah, and then later on there's criminals. So it's very short. It's only like 8 issues maybe. Um very short, very good though. I really like the artwork. It's very nice. It's very reminiscent of what you would expect. It's a World War II set period piece, and it's fun. Really, yeah. It's not particularly deep or anything, but it's fun. It's a superhero thing, but it's one of those things where it's like not superpowers. It's kind of like Iron Man. It's the suit. Though they do, I do like that. It's like he is completely terrible at operating the thing for a good bit of the the story. So it's like he's not like Spider-Man where he's automatically kicking everyone's ass. Um, he's developing, and I liked that. It made for some good aspects of storytelling. Finally, if you'll remember, last time I picked up this porno comic and I read it, and it's called Night School. Yeah, not gonna show you inside it because there is very well drawn nudity. Very well drawn. I liked this. The story. Well, it's a porno comic. It's not gonna be anything particularly great, but it was interesting. Basically, this girl is a teacher, but she's also a succubus. So yeah, use your imagination. Um, yeah, I mean, very well drawn sex scenes. I have a lot of respect for people who can draw like hentai and stuff like that because that's a useful talent. Yeah, I like in the future. I plan on like commissioning stuff from artists because the idea of doing that's pretty cool. You can just say draw. I'll pay you. You draw this a certain way. Show all this. Do it this way. Yada yada yada. And you can frame it on your wall. And yeah, when your parents come over, they can see a picture of you getting fucked by a cow or something. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, this isn't. We're gonna be moving on to what I watched, but first I figured I'd show you guys what I've been playing, video game wise, since I don't usually play video games. Figured why not? Uh, I don't know why I didn't just take the game out of the Game Boy, but now I did. Pokemon Emerald. I've restarted the game that I had finished in like 5th grade, maybe. No, wait, 6th grade, probably. Or something like that. It's a good game. I like it. It's a good way to spend time. It's it's Pokemon. It's probably my favorite Pokemon because I like the setting, that region, Hoenn region, and I like a lot of the Pokemon. I like I think it's Duskull. I really like Duskull. I like the man. I forget a lot of them names. Looks kind of like Whismur. I think it's Whismur. It's a pretty cool Pokemon, and I also like Ninjask. And I forget. Oh, my starter was Mudkip. I like Mudkip. Mudkip is cute. But yeah, Pokemon Emerald kicks ass. I haven't actually played it in like a month though. I need to get back on that shit, man. Pokemon's fun. I really like Pokemon. Also, been playing Twilight Princess, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on the Wii. Um, very, very good game. In fact, the animation, I recommend getting the HD version because, unfortunately, due to the quality capacity of the Wii, it does not look as good as it potentially could. So get the HD version; it will look amazing. I'm sure of it because there's some very well shot scenes in here, and the art style on the cover and everywhere else is very, very good. So in HD, where everything's nice and clear, not so blocky, I'm sure it will look amazing. So if you never played the game, and if you have like I think it's Wii U that it's on HD on, get it on HD. That's the way to go. Yeah, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, and I haven't played that in a month either because I think it's like the second temple. It's the fire lava temple, piece of shit temple, because basically you gotta basically parkour all the way across the room, and then you gotta go back, and there's like a little time limit because you flip a switch, and this fire stream, stops streaming, and you have to go and jump before it comes back. But I'm not good at the Wii controls because I grew up on handheld games, the Game Boy, the DS. And I'm sure people who are even good at like Xbox and shit, it's not like the Xbox either. So you got to be really good at the Wii controls. And I'm terrible at even handheld games. I'm not a good gamer, though I do enjoy it. Um, so that always fails. Furthermore, to kick you while you're down, if you fall into the lava, you go all the way to the beginning of the room. I'm still in the first room of the fucking dungeon, and it's just raping me. Well, it was, but then I gave up for a while, momentarily, taking a break. I'll get it sometime though. Yeah, I need help. Anyway, uh, yeah, I kind of lost my place. Oh yeah, Twilight Princess, good game. Difficult second fire dungeon. Difficult controls, very good graphics. Could potentially be infinitely more amazing in the HD version. So yeah, maybe the HD version is also easier to control. I've never played a Wii U. Maybe the controls are better on the Wii U. But anyway, on to what I have watched. Uh, Mainly a bunch of movies. First up is this movie called M. It's from 1931. It's this black and white German film starring Peter Lorre, and it's directed by Fritz Lang. Maybe it's Long, whatever. It's basically about a pedophile who kills kids, and it's basically the town it takes place that them dealing with that, and they I don't want to spoil anything. It's a really, really good. It has a very, very good conclusion um, that I did not see coming. Because it's such an old film, I didn't really imagine, for some reason, that point of view had existed back then. Since it did, like, that's not how it is now. And I figured back then, when things were way more chaotic, that point of idea or that point of view on, uh, well, if you watch the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I just didn't expect that point of view to be um, portrayed, and I'm really glad that they did that because that's how I feel about the subject. The subject is a spoiler, by the way. Well, that's why I only called it the subject. But yeah, very, very good film. I recommend it if you are interested in uh, crime, noir, and courtroom drama. So yeah. Next, I watched this 80s film, a cult classic called The Evil Dead. It was pretty enjoyable. I really, really liked the special effects. Um, I mean, the story wasn't, I mean, anything special, but the way it was carried out was how it was really, really good. I really liked the actors too. Like I liked the way they acted. Um, it's just I mean, I guess I could explain the story real quick. Some I guess college students, some young adults, very young adults, they go into this cabin for a little vacation, and it's in the woods, and there's nobody else there, and they awaken some demonic force, and it turns them all into demons one by one. And Ash Wednesday, main character, uh, yeah, he's the last one, and he has to fend off the demons, and it's an interesting one. I really liked it. I could see some film snobs not liking it very much, writing it off as like a generic horror movie, but I thought it was really fun. So if you want a fun horror movie, check out The Evil Dead. Another one, if you're into horror, particularly vintage horror movies, I'm talking like 30s to 70s. There's this one called Mad Ron's Previews from Hell, which is basically like this little puppeteer guy um, having this little. It's basically he and this puppet are watching a bunch of movie trailers, real movie trailers. It's basically advertising a whole bunch of movies by showing a whole bunch of trailers for an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes. It's pretty short, but yeah, I liked it because I like horror movies, especially old ones, and I didn't really know what it was at first, but then when I saw that it was a bunch of movie trailers with a little bit of a intertwined story with the puppet, um, I kept watching because I got all the good recommendations from that. There's one that was particularly interesting about like a woman who's a necrophiliac, and she works at a graveyard, and that just looked interesting. Um, yeah. Next one is Corpse Bride by Tim Burton. It is a rewatch on my part. It's an animated one about a guy who's about to get married to some girl, and they're getting forced to get married, but they actually like each other. But the parents are just doing it for like notoriety and shit. And then he accidentally like he's in the woods, and he accidentally proposes to a dead woman who brings him to the underworld where they're going to be married, and that's where the corpse bride part comes in. And yeah, Corpse Bride's a pretty good movie. It's one of my favorites of that guy's, Tim Burton. Um, then there's this other one. Basically, a lot of horror movies because Halloween is when I watch a lot of those. This one it was called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It was pretty terrible, but it was laughable. Like I was watching it with my brother, and there are just some really stupid lines, some very just stupid scenes. No, it's not like one of these films like Birdemic where it's so bad it's good, but it's just like, I wanted to watch it. And I didn't want to turn it off just because, I was having fun enough watching it. And there just happened to be some very stupid scenes, very stupid lines as well that were just funny. So it's a pretty stupid movie. I'm not going to explain the plot because it's just really stupid. But yeah, I mean, it's called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. You can't expect it to be anything good. Um, so yeah. Next, we got this one that I expected to be terrible called A Haunting of Silver Falls, and it was surprisingly good. It's basically this girl. She's a teenager. Her parents are dead, and she's living in this new town. Well, she's new in this town, a different town, where her aunt and uncle live, and they're taking care of her. And just like this local myth of two twin girls getting killed by their father, and the spirits are haunting the girl, the new girl. And yeah, it it's very interesting actually. I I I didn't get bored, or I didn't like cringe or anything. I mean, some of the lines were kind of stupid, but it was funny, not really cringy. Uh, um, oh, and they weren't meant to be funny, so that's why it would be cringy, but it wasn't. Yeah, pretty much the only thing that was bad was like the very ending. It was just pretty stupid. Not really a huge deal though, since it was a pretty good film overall. I'd recommend it. It's didn't scare me, but it had a good story. This next one is called Intruder, and it's basically this guy is just like sneaking into this girl's house while she's asleep and intruding. And I mean, that's really all you need to know. Just watch the movie. If you like voyeurism, you might like it. Um, so yeah, it was fun. It was fun to watch. The next one is called The Babysitter. Uh, it The Babysitter. It's a newer Netflix original, and it was pretty terrible. Honestly, I thought a lot of the dialogue was just very stupid. I thought the main character, the kid, he was overacting a lot and saying some really generic shit and acting just in the most generic way possible. Very annoying kid. Fuck him. But it was enjoyable. Not all the actors were very good, but they were fine. Uh, I wouldn't watch it again though. Next is one called Repossessed. It's a parody of The Exorcist, starring Leslie Nielsen, who I really like because he was really funny in the Naked Gun trilogy, as well as Airplane and other stuff as well. Funny guy, but the movie was just terrible. But I watched the whole thing, so it kept me interesting for that long. Next, we have one. This one isn't a horror movie. It's called The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. It's by Terry Gilliam, who is a pretty good director. He did a lot of the Monty Python stuff. He made a film called 12 Monkeys. It was really good. Time Bandits was another one. Can't remember anything else off the top of my head, but yeah, this one, his films tend to be pretty imaginative, and there's a lot of fantasy elements that I enjoy. Um, Like, well, yeah, it's basically about a this guy is immortal because the devil made him immortal, and he can like basically make people's dreams come true. They have to enter into this room where the dreams occur, um, but they're contained within this small room. But it's like it's not a room; it's their imagination coming to life. But it's only through that door that you can access it. And yeah, it's pretty good. I really liked the. At first, I didn't like the ending. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it did connect me with me in some way. It for me, it showed that you know, um, you could like really trust someone and think you really know them, but then they could completely change like in an instant based on something you didn't know about them. Like, for example, I really like the well, he used to go by the Amazing Atheist, but now his channel name is TJ Kirk. Um, yeah, I've been a big fan of his for years. But it would be like him suddenly, like I don't know, like it turns out he's been arrested for like murder or serial killing or something like that, you know. And I at first I didn't like like the ending a lot, but I kind of grew to appreciate the message that I took from it. So yeah, I would highly recommend The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Very good film. Next one is a horror movie called The Fly. It's a remake. It's the remake one, not the original one. I had watched the original one. I thought it was really boring. The remake, I think, is better by far. The acting is really good from the characters. The transformation is way more interesting, and very. It got me a little bit emotional, honestly. The ending is. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's a good ending. I really liked the ending. I really like the way they did it. It's a lot more interesting than like a bunch of talking and dramatic like wailing from the wife in the original one, where you're just waiting for something to happen. That's not fun. But The Fly, the remake was fun. It was very fun, very interesting, very gruesome, which I like, and I would recommend that one very much. Um, Next we got Catwoman. Not as terrible as I thought it was, but very stupid. Like a lot of the acting was just stupid. A lot of the plot points were very stupid. Like basically this girl works at this fashion corporation, and she finds out some dark secrets about the product they're making, and she gets killed by the people who are trying to keep the secret not known to the public. So she dies, and this fucking cat breathes on her, and she comes back to life as Catwoman. It's very fucking stupid. A lot of the fight scenes, like I don't know, they're fine. They're fun to watch, I guess. If you're watching the movie already, yeah, it's just a pretty stupid movie, but not as terrible as I thought it was. It was enjoyable, you know. It's one of those movies you could like have a bunch of friends over and just laugh your asses off at it. It's not a good movie, but it can be funny if you're with the right people. Um, Next I watched another Tim Burton movie called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It actually came out last year. Um, it was all right. It's about this kid who his grandfather dies because a fantastical monster um, kills him. And hold on, that could have been way better. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, he goes to the home that his grandfather went to, where the people he he knew as a kid lived, and it turns out that they're stuck in a time loop. Well, not really stuck; they're purposely stuck. Like they're stuck there on their own terms because they want to. Well, not just because they want to. It goes deeper. I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about that, but they haven't aged in all these years, and he goes into their time loop and hangs out with them. And man, I can't really remember the premise. I mean, the movie it was enjoyable, just not very memorable for a Tim Burton movie. Um, definitely not on the same level as like Beetlejuice or Edward Scissorhands. Um, but it's still good. Samuel L. Jackson is in it. He's always good. And yeah. Next, I watched this show you may have heard of called Jackass. It's a reality thing, but it's like people doing stunts. It's pretty funny. I like the movies better, but the show is pretty funny as well. Uh, I mean, if that kind of humor really suits me. It's like public pranks, but just better quality than the shit you see on YouTube, for the most part. Um, yeah, I recommend Jackass. It's another one you can have a bunch of friends over, but it's not like laughing because it's so bad that it's good. It's just funny on its own. That they succeed in entertaining you. And there's a kind of I guess, a spin-off by one of the people in it called Dr. Stevo. I watched that. It's only 7 episodes. It's pretty funny, and actually, it's got a lot of terrible reviews from people, but I actually really enjoyed it. It's basically the stuntman in Jackass named Stevo. He basically gets a bunch of volunteers, like 3 volunteers each episode, uh, who want to overcome a fear of theirs, and he basically forces them to overcome those fears. Most of them, at least. And I don't know, it's pretty funny. Uh, I mean, if you have any fears, if you are struggling with any of that, I suggest you watch it. I could see how it could be a little bit inspirational with a lot of comedy mixed in as well. But yeah, pretty funny. I liked it. Next, another Tim Burton. This is a rewatch of Sleepy Hollow, which I thought was a bit dragged on the first time I watched it, but I actually really enjoyed it the second time. It's the story of the Headless Horseman, but with a lot of different. It's altered, basically a reimagining, as Tim Burton likes to call these sorts of things, like that atrocious Planet of the Apes reimagining. Fuck that. Yeah, Sleepy Hollow. I like it. It's fun. Um, it's supernatural though. I will say that. So yeah, that's where the reimagining comes from. Next, we finally got an anime, kind of. It's a 12-minute short. It's on Netflix now. It's called The House of Small Cubes, and I have actually watched this back when I was in like 10th grade, and I liked it a lot. And I rewatched it now because it was on Netflix. I recommend it. It's basically the world is overflooded, and people it keeps rising very gradually. So every year, this old man who lives in this block house, he has to build a new room on top of the room he was just living in every year because the water keeps rising so gradually that, basically every year his room is flooded and underneath the water. And he drops something, and I forget what it was. I think it was his pipe or something. Uh, so he gets this submarine. No, not the submarine. Like one of those old like diving suits where it's like a big round ball, and then there's like the circle with the where you see out of one of those things. And he goes down and he relives all these memories that he had about his wife and his kids and all that. And it's kind of touching. It's a very short one though, but the artwork, I mean, the animation is very, very nice. It's a very relaxing piece, and there's no talking whatsoever. So yeah, I recommend it a lot. Very good. Um, it kind of reminded me of the beginning of Up, the movie, Pixar movie, which yeah, pretty good. Next, we had this Ben Stiller movie called The Heartbreak Kid. Um, it was all right. It's basically this guy meets this single guy who's always like single. Always been single for a while. It's a stupid romantic comedy, but it's kind of fun. Because it's not like exactly the same as a romantic comedy. There's a lot of very um outright differences that I will get into. So he meets this girl. He saves her from a mugger. Kind of, the mugger still gets away with her shit, but um, they hit it off, and they eventually decide to get married because she's gonna have to be relocating unless she gets married for her job to Germany. So they get married so that she doesn't have to relocate, and then they go on their honeymoon, and that's when he starts to realize that she's not actually like what what he originally thought. So he's having a lot of second thoughts, and to make matters worse, he meets this other attractive girl at the place, and he starts getting interested in her, while his new wife is she's basically restricted to her to their apartment suite or whatever due to her uh, not putting on sunscreen and getting horrible sunburns. And it pretty much just goes downhill from there. It's one of those movies. I mean, give it a go if you want. I understand if you're not interested, though. It's not amazing. Next one. Oh, actually, I have this one here. This is one that I own. I rewatched it for like the fifth time ever, but not. I hadn't watched it in so many years. And I must say, it's not a good movie. It's not funny. It's not scary. I mean, I guess it's a little funny. But mainly it's just a nostalgic thing for me. It's The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy. I really like Eddie Murphy. But The Haunted Mansion, yeah, I got this movie back when I was in second grade. I got it for Christmas, and it was I remember watching it late at night with my mom back then, and a few times since then, and nostalgic feelings about it. It's not a good film, but it's enjoyable to me for nostalgic value, and it's definitely one that I'm going to be keeping. So yeah, Haunted Mansion. Oh, and it's based off the Disney ride. If you didn't know that already. Next, Beetlejuice. Yep, another Tim Burton. It's the first time I ever watched Beetlejuice, and basically this couple that live in this house that's very sought after, I guess. Like it's this big house, but it's only two people living in it, and they die in a car accident. But they're not like dead. They still walk around with their ghosts, and they're inhabiting the house. But since they're dead, these people move into the house, and they want the people out of the house because it's their house, but they're dead, so the people can't see them even when they dress up like as ghosts and shit. So they go to the I guess the spirit world where this this guy named Beetlejuice, he offers to scare away the inhabitants for them, and yeah, it pretty much goes downhill from there, as I said with that other thing. Oh, and the daughter of the new family can see them because she's goth or whatever, and yeah, it's a fun movie. I'd watch it again next Halloween. Uh, Next we got another anime film. This one's an actual film, by the way, not just 12 minutes. It's called The Boy and the Beast. I think it came out like last year or the year before. It was really good. Basically, this kid, his father is estranged, so he was living with his mom, but his mom died, and he's gonna have to live with these relatives that he's never seen before, which kind of reminded me of this movie called House of D, um, which is a pretty good movie. I liked it. Got terrible reviews though, so I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. But anyway, he runs away, and eventually he finds himself. Um, well, okay. Before that, this this large beast basically looks kind of like a bear. I thought. Um, he comes by. He's like a samurai fighter. He he asks him if he wants to join him, or did he ask him? I forget what he said, but basically, the kid follows him into this different world that is of beasts, and not many humans go in there, and he basically trains under the beasts, the bear beast that is, um, to get better, so he can defend himself. And meanwhile, the beast is he's aiming to inherit um, the throne from the ruler of the kingdom, but he has to win against a rival. So that's it's a little conflict there, and it was really well done. Very interesting turns the story takes. Very cool animation. I really liked just the idea, and just an enjoyable story. If I have any complaint, it would just be there's always this thing like in movies and shit where like people react just like normally and predictably to bad things, like bad news or just bad stuff. One example of this is the face slap trope, which really gets under my skin. I just cringe whenever like it's done seriously. Like sometimes it's done comedically, but um, like like one person says something edgy or shocking or rude, and then the person who it was said to, usually a girl, slaps them in the face. I discussed this in the last stream. It's particularly uh, really annoying. Basically, I just don't like any reaction to something that I wouldn't react to. Like I don't get mad like that. Nothing is that big of a deal to me that I need to go to that level. So that always pisses me off. It's a big pet peeve of mine, and that happens a little bit in the movie, but it's forgivable since the rest of it is so great. Next, I watched for the third time a movie called Battle for Terra. Hold on, let me see how long the stream's been going on. Damn, over an hour. Making good time, I guess. Um, Yeah, Battle for Terra. It's basically this planet called Terra. The inhabitants are being infiltrated by humans who are they are the remaining human population since both Earth, Venus, and Mars exploded. So they're the rest of the human race. They travel all the way to Terra and they plan to take over. And this one Terra inhabitant finds this human pilot who crash landed while chasing her, and she saves him, and they form ally. They become allies, and they hope to figure a way to end the conflict. And it's really good. I remember seeing it in theaters back in fourth grade when it came out. I saw it in like sixth grade, and then I just saw it again. Uh, yeah, one of my favorite comedians, David Cross, is the robot helper guy, and that's the main reason I rewatched it because I wanted to hear David Cross because he's awesome. Hold on, my throat hurts. Next, there's this comedy called Step Brothers, where basically it's kind of like something I forget what it was called though. Some other thing I don't know, but yeah, Will Ferrell is like 40, but he's like he still lives with his mom, and then this other guy, John C. Riley, is the actor's name. He is also around the same age and lives with his father. And the mother and the father are both singles, and they meet, so they get married, and they have to be stepbrothers. And at first they don't like each other, but then they start to like become friends, and it's a pretty funny story, just given the circumstances. Um, it's worth watching again for me. I'd recommend it. It's nothing special, like outstanding or anything, but it's a fun movie. I would recommend it. Next, there's this animated one. It's not an anime. It's French. It's called The Red Turtle, and it's basically this guy is he's basically shipwrecked on this island, and every time he tries to leave, a red turtle turns him back or breaks his raft, so then he has to go back, or just prevents him from leaving. And eventually, he gets fed up and um he puts a stop to it. But well, I don't want to get too into it. But basically, it's a survival story that it teaches about like I don't know. It's kind of emotional a little bit. It's like um it's a good one. It's very atmospheric. There's no there's not much talking, like any talking. It's just like uh exclamations or something from people, or like yelling. Just yeah, like just yelling. Um but yeah, it's a pretty nice one. It basically shows his survival on the island and how he grows to appreciate it, since at first he was a stranger, and it seemed like you know foreign and hostile to him, but then he gets used to it basically, and I really like that. It's a pretty interesting short animated film. Only like an hour 15 minutes. So yeah, I would recommend you check it out if you like anime. I think it actually had something to do with Studio Ghibli. So I'd say it's in the same realm. Next was this movie I watched because Robin Williams is in it called Absolutely Anything, where this guy is given the power by these aliens deciding whether or not to destroy Earth uh, by giving this guy the power to do anything he wishes and or make anything he wishes come true. Um, that power for like I think they said a week, and if he has not used it for good, then they will destroy the planet Earth. But he's completely oblivious to this. He just suddenly realizes that he has the power uh, just on his own, and it's funny. It was enjoyable. Not really something I'd be begging to watch again, but it was one of Robin Williams's last appearances, last one of his last films, because then he died, and yeah. Fun fact, though, I didn't actually know anything about him until after he had died. Like the whole time people were talking about it, was like, "What? Who cares?" But then, I checked him out, and he's become my favorite actor. So yeah, that's good. Next, I watched this documentary called Lost in La Mancha, which is basically about Terry Gilliam failing at making uh, a movie adaptation of the old story Don Quixote, which is basically this knight um, thinks these windmills are giants, and I haven't actually read the story, but I plan on it. And this was back in the early 2000s, and since then, I think the film is actually being made, but it was in development hell for a while because it pretty much documents how everything possibly wrong went wrong in the making of the film. So Terry Gilliam just had to shelve it, but it was fun to watch. Basically, everything go to shit. Um, everyone getting pissed. It was fun. Um, yeah, it's a documentary. um, Next, I watched this film called Gambit, and it was written by the Coen brothers, who I really like. Um, they made The Big Lebowski, which is very popular. They made Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? They did True Grit. They did Barton Fink, which is one of my favorite movies ever. But Gambit, basically, this guy works for this royal guy. It's a British film, and the royal guy, he's a lord, played by Snape. Um, Snape is a dick to the guy, and he doesn't like the guy, so he wants to con him into and he's a paint collector or something like that. Snape is. So he collects all these paintings, and he wants the main character. He's played by forget his name, Colin Firth. Colin Firth. Colin Firth wants to con him into getting a fake copy of a painting. Basically someone copies the painting in the most detail, and it's such a it's basically perfect duplication of it, and he wants to con the guy into having a duplication while he has the real one. So he gets this redneck girl in America who has a fake painting that is he basically wants her to sell her painting to him, but things don't go his way, and basically he's basically trying his hardest to get this stupid scheme to work. And well, you'll see if you watch it what happens. It was a fun one. I'd rewatch it. Not one of their best, but they only wrote it. They didn't direct it. Um, but yeah, it's a fun film. I liked it a lot. Um, Next, we got this other documentary called Mifune: The Last Samurai. This one is kind of similar to anime, in a way. Uh, Shiro Mifune was the lead actor in the movie Seven Samurai, which is a pretty good film. Basically, this documentary is about his life and how he evolved as an actor, where he started. And I was mainly interested just because I watched Seven Samurai, which he starred in a while ago. I haven't seen it in a long time. And I also saw The Hidden Fortress, which he starred in. And that was actually one of the films that greatly influenced the creation of Star Wars. So if you like Star Wars, I'd recommend watching The Hidden Fortress. Also, if you like samurai movies, because that's what it is. It's a samurai movie. Both of those are. Um, but yeah, it was cool to watch. It's not very long. Um, I was interested, so I watched it. Next, I watched this one called Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's basically a horror comedy. Well, just a comedy. If it's a horror comedy, it's a comedy with horror aspects. So yeah, it was a comedy about two rednecks going to their vacation home in this woods, and it's not far from where these like teenagers are. These college students, they're camping there, and basically the college kids are creeped out by the rednecks because they're rednecks, and the college kids are like city folk. So yeah, but one of them falls and hits her head on a rock at the lake, and none of them notice. So the redneck, one of them, jumps in and saves her. But then the college kids see, and they think that he like killed her or something, or captured her. So basically, they're all trying to uh, kill the rednecks based on a misunderstanding, and it's funny. It's not amazing, but you know, I'd watch it again maybe in a couple of years. Next, I watched Mulan. I've watched it before many times, but not in a long time, and I'd have to say it's probably my second favorite Disney film behind Dumbo. Um, but yeah, Mulan. We all know the story. I'm not gonna go into that. There's this thriller film, I guess, kind of a mystery puzzle film called Cube. Basically, six people with different skills are put into this cubic room, and there's six faces of the cube. Each one has a small door on it: the ceiling, the four walls, and the floor. And each one goes into a different, basically duplicate of the room, just a different color. And some of them are trapped. So if they're trapped, then the people will get killed. Um, so they have to decipher the numbers that are on each door to determine which room to go through. And they're basically trying to get out of the cubic maze because it goes on for a while. And yeah, it was interesting. I thought the acting was pretty terrible for most of the people, but I thought it was kind of really cool because it showed like everyone's descent into madness, especially the one person we see who seems to be the most well adjusted to the situation go completely insane. But yeah, a lot of the acting is shit. It's just a minor flaw in comparison because it's a pretty interesting movie. Next, there's this movie called Goon. It's a hockey movie. It's a comedy about the guy who played Stifler in American Pie. He's he basically is hired to be a professional hockey player, but to get in fights with people because that's what you do in hockey. So he gets in fights to protect this one guy who's basically a has-been who's lost his skill after getting a concussion, I think, and basically dealing with his jealousy and his parents don't really approve of it, and yeah, it's fun. I'd recommend it. I need some more water. No gargling. Okay, this other one is called Moonrise Kingdom, and I didn't expect to like it, but I did. So this like Boy Scout, and he likes this girl who lives at this island that he's at a camp with. So he quits the Boy Scouts unofficially, just runs away during the middle of the night to go uh, run away with her, and yeah, they grow closer, and then everyone is chasing them because she ran away from her parents because she lives on the island. And I thought it was really enjoyable. Kids, their acting was shit just because child actors can't usually act. But I think the director had some input because I remember he also did the Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I remember watching a lot as a kid, and the acting was kind of similar. So I guess he just likes it a certain way. But I don't know. It was just kind of stupid, and it was also it's this thing where like the kids are more mature than they would realistically be, which not really a huge pet peeve of mine, but it's been pointed out to me in the past. That's how I know about it. I didn't realize it until someone had pointed out to me it's a trope basically when kids are more mature than they would be in reality. Next there's this one called Teeth. It's a horror movie about a girl who has jaws in her vagina, and she's getting raped by this guy she likes. And she's like a Christian, like hardcore, so uh, no sex or anything. But she's getting raped by this other Christian guy because he's so repressed, which I actually thought was kind of a funny way of portraying how um, like religion denies you pleasure, and it can show some potential very bad side effects to it. So yeah, um, but yeah, then he gets in there, and her vagina jaws bite his dick off, and he dies. So basically, goes on from there. So yeah, Teeth. It was all right. Thought the acting was decent from all the characters, and it was an enjoyable story. Next was this one called Rounders. It's basically a card playing gambling film. It's pretty interesting. It's like this one called, I think, Kaiji, which was an anime that I actually dropped because I got bored of it. But Rounders, yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it's about shows the harmful side of gambling addiction, and you know, I'm not into gambling or even a lot of card games, but it was a good movie. I rewatched this other film, satire film called Young Frankenstein, by Mel Brooks, who does a lot of that sort of thing. It's a parody of Frankenstein. His I think his great great grandson is living in the modern day. Well, at the time it was the 70s, so living in the 70s, which was modern day at the time. Who I I guess he got called back to like research. I forget what happened honestly. That's weird. Basically, he's gone back to his grandfather's castle, grandfather who created the monster originally, and basically repeats the same thing. And it's all done very comedically. I thought it was pretty funny. Um, yeah, it's a good one. I'd recommend it if you like satirical stuff. Next we got this one called Rock the. Oh, and we're almost finished, by the way, with this segment. But yeah, Rock the Casbah. I watched it because Bill Murray was in it. Basically, he's a has-been music producer who moves to well, he travels to like I think Saudi Arabia with his singer that he's forcing to be his singer, and she leaves him in Saudi Arabia without his passport, and she takes everything, and he's stuck there. But then while he's over there, he sees this Muslim girl. It's a Muslim country, and Muslim girls they're not allowed to do much, including sing. But he catches her singing at night in this cave, and he wants to turn her into a star in Saudi Arabia. Or maybe it was Afghanistan. Whatever it was, they don't like it. So chaos ensues. So I recommend it. It was pretty funny. Next, there's this biopic called Hoffa. It was boring, honestly, but I watched the whole thing. I don't really recommend it though. Jack Nicholson's in it though. He's pretty cool. I watched this old animated movie called The Last Unicorn that I had watched as a kid, and it was pretty good. I really liked the animation and the music that was made for it. Um, so yeah, I recommend that one if you like old cartoons. Um, I watched a Coen Brothers movie called Burn After Reading, which the first 20 minutes I was kind of like iffy on it. I didn't love it. I still wanted to watch though, but then it got really good around the 25-minute mark. And it kept on being good throughout till the end. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's basically this guy gets fired from the CIA, so he starts writing a book. But I think it was like the CIA had someone get all his files that belonged to the CIA, and they accidentally grabbed his book that he'd written, and it was on a CD thing, and they drop it accidentally at this gym where this Brad Pitt finds it and thinks it's like actual secret CIA documents, and basically he wants a reward for it. Oh, and this other girl helps him. Um, it's basically what it shows like that like such a small mistake can lead to such chaos um, among all these people, and it's pretty interesting and funny to watch. So I definitely recommend that. It's a really really good movie. Um, I watched this stupid comedy called "I Love You, Man." I don't know why I watched it, but I watched the whole thing. Basically, this guy is getting married, but he doesn't have any guy friends, so he wants to make guy friends, and he makes a guy friend, and there's some small problems, and they deal with the problems. So yeah, I don't really recommend it, but it's enjoyable. And finally, I watched this one called Heathers, which basically is kind of like Mean Girls, but way, 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 way better. Uh, like this girl is in a popular crowd with these three other girls named Heather. So there's three Heathers, but her name is like I forget her name. Um, but she meets this guy who's not really cool, but kind of like edgy, and he's actually a sociopath. So they end up accidentally killing someone, but then he starts reveling in it, and he repeats he repeats the process with other people, and it's a dark comedy. It's pretty funny, but yeah, that's all the movies I watched and all the stuff I read. as well. So now, quick music recommendation. I've been watching yourmoviesucks.org lately. They did a good review of Catwoman, which I talked about earlier. I recommend you watch that. What I recommend right now, even more, is his band An Unkindness. That is An Unkindness. Um, he's he's basically a one man band, mainly playing the keyboards. Um, yeah, I found his channel through The Amazing Atheist, um, who had written a song, which is one of my favorites of his, actually called "A Death." There's my favorites are "A Death," "Fragments," and "Foundation." I recommend you check out all those songs; they're really good. That is all. Now, final little little segment here. The top 5 manga that disappointed me. They're over there. I gotta get. So number 5 is Trigun. This is an absolute piece of shit, but I was hoping it would be really good. Yeah, that's a bunch of stains. It's not mine, I swear. Um, Trigun. Basically, the story with Trigun is I've always heard of it, and I had bought the second volume. It's the first series was 2 volumes in the U.S. I bought the second one hardcover at a bookstore, so I ordered the first one, and it came without a slipcover like the second one had, and it had all these stains. But I thought the stains were cool. That's why I still have this piece of shit. Um, yeah, because there's stains that could very well be splooge. But yeah, basically, I don't know what's going on like the whole time. It's not interesting. The art is pretty good, but just the story just sucks, man. And it's one of those things where it's like the artist can't draw something normal. It's got to be like this panel is some obscure object. I don't know what's going on in this panel and what's going on in the sequence. It's just really stupid and poorly done. Just horribly done. Not very well done at all. But I plan on giving it another shot in the future. Number 4 is the Tarot Cafe. This was talked about last month. Basically, I had the first 2 volumes about 2 years ago. I read them, I think, both for a manga marathon, 24-hour manga marathon that I had done. And I had liked it because it was a very episodic one about basically this fortune teller who uses tarot cards to help people. And each chapter was a different story with a different patient. And then I got the rest of the series and I read it last time. Well, I didn't get through the 4th volume because it stopped being episodic and it started focusing on a story. Now, a lot of stories stop being episodic to focus on an actual story, a continuous story, and it's good. But in this case, it was bad. Like it can go either way with something like that, but it just didn't go the right way. And I thought it was just terrible. Um, the art was still very good. I really like the art. I'd recommend the first 2 volumes though, if you want to. Number 3. Number 3 is Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, it's very popular, but it it didn't. It's just boring, you know. Um, I don't really care about what's going on. We're dropped right in the middle of the action, but I still don't give a fuck. It's just not very well done. Um, I hear the movie's better though, so hopefully that's good. Oh, and I didn't get like 2 chapters into the thing, so yeah, can't really say much on it. Number 2, One Piece. I don't have any actual One Piece manga, so I'm just using this figure. I still like Luffy. Still like Luffy. I have this clock too. One Piece clock. I like some of the characters. I liked the first two arcs, but after that it started to go downhill, but I refused to admit it. Um Back in 11th grade, like 2 years ago, I forced myself to read all the way up to date to where it was at the time, which was right at the beginning of the Zoe arc. And then I read up to like, I had caught up at like chapter 804, and then I read weekly or however often until like chapter 1 or 815. And then I just stopped because I was just done. Then, like last summer, just a few months ago, I tried getting back, giving it another try. It's just so word heavy and boring, and just it needs to cut out a lot of the bullshit and just get to the point. There's so much dialogue, so much unnecessary, boring, just stuff that I don't care about. It has come a long way for sure, but not in the right direction. One Piece sucks, but Luffy's still cool. I like Luffy. I dress up as Luffy sometimes. Number one, the worst manga I ever read is called Dragon Knights. I keep these 2 volumes because of how much of an impact, how much of an anti-impact they had. I, I saw these covers, I saw them. I thought they looked amazing. I thought, the artwork was amazing on the cover. I thought it sounded cool. It sounded like it would be an epic quest. See, it says epic quest right there. Yeah. Um, well, the art is not as fancy as it is on the covers as it is in the manga. Especially this first cover, it's the best. Um, the art is a complete clusterfuck. No rhyme or reason. The the characters look different. They don't look as fancy, and the art is so badly coordinated that you cannot tell what's going on worth your life. Now, the thing is, I had first tried to read this back 4 years ago when I got the volumes, and I was disappointed. But then, like 2 years later, I went for it again. I really wanted to like it because I just expected it to be so much better. And I still hated it. I hated it so much. But I have to keep it just because it's so bad. It just traumatized me, basically. This is my personal worst manga I ever read. It disappointed the fuck out of me. Terrible manga. Don't even read it. It's not so bad. It's good. It's just not good. So yeah, worst manga ever. It's a Tokyo Pop, so I guess you can forgive it that. But yeah, yeah. This concludes the 5th Genesis stream. I'll have to do this more often because this one ran on forever. My throat is sore. How long was it? Almost an hour and 38 minutes. Well, that's great. Sorry to this one person who's been watching. Unless, I mean, if you've been watching, then I guess, well, thank you. Yeah. To anyone who watches afterward, why don't you like do something else with your life instead of watch me? Yeah, that's about it. See you next month. Peace out.